Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're setting out on a really highly specific mission.
Yeah, a very focused one today.
Right. We are putting a magnifying glass over a relatively short but incredibly dense excerpt from a tech commentary show called Tech Unfiltered.
It's a great clip.
It really is. It's specifically an episode they released called The Illusion of the Smartphone Replacement. And it features two commentators, Alex and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal for this deep dive is to figure out exactly why the tech industry is just so obsessively fixated on replacing your smartphone.
And why they keep failing.
Yes. Why, despite throwing literally billions of dollars at the problem, they continually fail to pull it off.
Well, what's fascinating here is it really captures this strange, almost paradoxical moment we're experiencing in consumer tech right now.
Yeah, how so?
I mean, on one hand, you have these massive tech conglomerates,
Right.
And hyper-funded venture capital startups pouring just unimaginable resources into finding the next computing paradigm.
Like mountains of cash.
Mountains.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have the everyday reality of how human beings actually want to interact with their digital lives.
Right.
Alex and Jordan deliver this very sharp critique of an industry trend that is, well, it's starting to look less like innovation and a lot more like a compulsion.
Compulsion is definitely the right word for it. I mean, the hook they use right at the beginning of the Tech Unfiltered excerpt really sets the stage perfectly.
Oh, the white whale thing?
Exactly. They refer to the smartphone replacement as Silicon Valley's favorite white whale.
It's such a good metaphor.
Right. Think about the weight of that. It implies this obsessive, irrational hunt for an elusive prize.
Captain Ahab.
Yeah, Captain Ahab tearing the ocean apart, basically willing to sink his own ship just to capture something that might not even be meant to be caught.
Yeah.
And in this context, the prize is the hardware that finally makes the smartphone obsolete.
And just like Ahab, the industry seems completely blind to the collateral damage of the hunt. They are so convinced that the current paradigm must be disrupted that they aren't even stopping to ask if the disruption actually serves the end user.
They just want to build it because they can.
Exactly. It's this fascinating dynamic where the technological capability to build something new has completely outpaced the practical need for it.
Okay, before we get too deep into the mechanics of that, I want you, yes, you listening to this deep dive right now, to do something for a second.
This is a good exercise.
Look at the device you're probably holding in your hand right now.
Or maybe it's on the desk next to you.
Right. Just take a look at it. It is, as the source text bluntly calls it, a pocket rectangle.
A pocket rectangle.
Now, I want you to realize that right at this very moment, there are billions of dollars being mobilized in R&D labs around the world entirely dedicated to eradicating that exact device from your life.
They want it gone.
They want the pocket rectangle gone. And today, we are going to explore why Alex and Jordan argue that might actually be a terrible idea.
What's fascinating here is how Jordan, in the excerpt, categorizes the aftermath of all those billions of dollars in R&D. They refer to it as the graveyard of tech.
The graveyard of tech.
Yeah. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really is a sprawling cemetery of incredibly expensive, highly hyped failures.
Totally.
We aren't just talking about a few small startups running out of runway here.
Yep.
We're talking about massive initiatives backed by the absolute biggest players in the industry that have just completely crashed upon making contact with the consumer market.
The graveyard of tech is such a vivid image.
Yeah.
And the excerpt explicitly lists out some of the most prominent casualties, which paints a pretty stark picture.
Yeah, they run through the list.
They call out smartwatches, Google Glass, and the recent Humane AI pins.
Right.
It's just a row of extremely expensive tombstones for devices that were all, at one point or another, heralded as the definitive smartphone killer.
Well, let's look at the smartwatch example first because it's a very specific type of failure. The smartwatch didn't fail as a product category, obviously. People wear them.
Sure. Yeah.
But it absolutely failed in its original stated mission to actually replace the phone.
That's very true.
The early marketing heavily pushed this idea that your wrist would be the new primary hub for communication.
Like Dick Tracy.
Exactly. But the form factor inherently limits bandwidth. You can't comfortably type on a watch. You can't comfortably browse a website.
No.
And honestly, holding your arm up for more than 10 seconds is physically fatiguing.
My shoulder hurts just thinking about it.
Right. So it retreated into being a peripheral, a health tracker, and a notification screen that remains entirely tethered to the pocket rectangle.
Exactly. It became an accessory, not a replacement. And then you have Google Glass, which the excerpt also mentions.
Oh, the face computer era.
Right, the face computer era. The promise was that we'd seamlessly integrate digital info into our field of vision.
Sounded great on paper.
On paper, yeah.
Yeah.
But it turned out nobody wanted a camera pointed at them all the time.
It was so creepy.
It really was. And wearing a computer on your face just introduced a massive amount of social friction.
Definitely.
But the one the text really highlights is the Humane AI pin. Let's talk about that one, because Jordan points out a highly specific, almost unbelievable detail.
Yeah.
These AI pins lasted a few months.
A few months. It's wild. The AI pin life cycle is perhaps the most concentrated example of the white whale phenomenon we've seen yet. It perfectly encapsulates the disconnect between Silicon Valley ambition and human reality.
Yes.
You had this massive buildup, a multi-million-dollar valuation, these highly produced keynote presentations, promising that a little lapel pin you talk to would liberate us from our screens.
And then the reviews hit.
And then the reviews hit.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
You have a device that requires you to speak out loud in public spaces.
Which nobody wants to do.
Nobody wants to do that. You have to wait for cloud processing latency, and you're relying on an AI that hallucinates half the time. And Jordan really emphasizes the absurdity of that timeline.
Oh.
A few months from being called the future of computing to being functionally irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate boom and bust cycle playing out at lightning speed.
And if we look at the why behind this graveyard, why these companies continue to miss the mark so spectacularly, despite having access to the best engineering talent on Earth.
Right.
It fundamentally comes down to human usability.
Okay, unpack that.
They are engineering for the sake of engineering. They're trying to force a new behavioral paradigm based on what the technology can do, rather than accommodating how human beings actually prefer to consume and process information.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Visual bandwidth is incredibly high. You can take in a lot of information by looking at a screen very quickly.
Right.
Audio bandwidth, which these screenless devices rely on, is incredibly low and linear. You have to wait for the voice to finish talking.
Which perfectly transitions into Alex's core argument in the excerpt. And it's a bold statement, especially in the tech commentary space, but it makes an incredible amount of sense when you break it down.
Yeah.
Alex argues that the pocket rectangle is basically perfect.
Which is such a contrarian take.
It is, and they mount a surprisingly robust defense of it.
It's a defense that actively defies the prevailing Silicon Valley ethos, right? The ethos that insists that every hardware form factor is just a temporary stepping stone to the next disruption. Suggesting that the current form factor might have actually reached an evolutionary plateau, that it might be perfect for what it needs to do, is almost heretical in that ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely.
But the physical constraints of human biology strongly support Alex's point.
Right, let's drill down into those physical limitations of these proposed alternatives, because Jordan makes a highly practical point regarding that lapel pin.
Okay.
I want you, our listener, to think about your daily media diet for a second. Imagine you want to read a sprawling 5,000-word investigative journalism piece. Or, as the text explicitly suggests, you want to watch a 4K movie.
Try doing that on a pin.
Exactly. Trying to do either of those things on a lapel pin is a logistical nightmare.
It's functionally impossible.
Right.
That is the stark reality Jordan is pointing out. You simply cannot consume rich, dense visual media on a device that lacks a screen capable of rendering it.
No.
A laser projected onto your palm cannot replicate the contrast ratio or resolution of an OLED display.
It just can't.
An AI summarizing an article into your earpiece is fundamentally a different experience than actively reading and digesting the text at your own pace.
Yeah.
The tech industry keeps trying to abstract away the screen, completely ignoring that the screen is the primary utility the user actually wants.
It's totally absurd when you frame it like that. The idea that we should sacrifice visual clarity and private consumption just for the sake of not holding a device.
It's backwards.
Imagine sitting on a crowded train, trying to have an AI read a complex spreadsheet to you out loud, simply because a tech CEO decided looking at a screen was passé.
Everyone on the train would hate you.
They would. It's entirely unfeasible when compared to just pulling a beautifully crisp, silent display out of your pocket.
Which brings us to what I consider the most compelling conceptual model in the entire excerpt.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan uses a brilliant analogy to describe the touchscreen, calling it a chameleon.
The chameleon metaphor. Let's really pull that apart.
If we look deeply at what makes a smartphone truly revolutionary, It isn't the processing power or the cellular connectivity.
Right.
It's the sheer adaptability of a blank capacitive glass slate.
Yes.
If you look at the era of dedicated hardware, a physical piece of technology was locked into its primary function. A traditional keyboard with tactile keys is only ever a keyboard.
Right. You can't play a movie on it.
Exactly. A dedicated gaming controller is only ever a controller. They have physical affordances that dictate their use, but a piece of blank glass, it fundamentally lacks an opinion on what it should be.
Exactly. The text highlights this specific duality. It is a keyboard one second and a gaming console the next. That is the essence of the chameleon. It adapts its entire interface instantly to whatever the immediate environment or user requirement demands.
I'd encourage you, the listener, to reflect on that dynamic for a moment. Think about the sheer number of distinct cognitive spaces you navigate through that exact same piece of glass every single day.
It's kind of staggering.
It is. You might tap it in the morning to authenticate a secure bank transfer. At that moment, it is a highly secure financial terminal.
Right.
A swipe later, you're looking at a map with real-time GPS rendering. It's a navigational instrument. Another swipe, and you're editing a high-resolution photograph. It's a creative studio. You're shifting across entirely different modes of work, entertainment, and personal communication, and the physical interface never has to change.
Never.
The software conjures the necessary tool into existence and then just dissolves it when you're done.
It is literally a blank canvas that paints a custom control panel for every single app you launch.
Yeah.
When you realize the sheer utility of that, trying to replace the chameleon with something rigid feels completely backwards.
Completely.
A voice-only pin or a pair of AR glasses that just overlays text in your peripheral vision isn't a step forward. It's a massive regression in flexibility. You are trading infinite adaptability for a very narrow, highly constrained set of interactions.
This raises an important question, though, and it's one the Tech Unfiltered hosts pivot to in the second half of the excerpt.
Okay.
If the hardware is so deeply adaptable and the form factor is so perfectly calibrated to human visual and tactile bandwidth, why is there such an aggressive appetite to replace it?
Right. Why the push?
Why does an entire industry feel this desperate need to move on? And more importantly, why do consumers often feel a sense of fatigue with their perfectly functional pocket rectangles?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because the excerpt doesn't just act as a love letter to the smartphone. Alex introduces a massive twist. They point out that just because the pocket rectangle hardware is basically perfect, that absolutely does not mean the overall experience of owning a phone is flawless.
Right.
We all know that distinct feeling of deep frustration with our devices.
We definitely do. And Alex provides a very sharp, precise diagnosis of where that frustration actually originates.
Okay.
They state unequivocally that the hardware isn't the problem at all. The software is the issue.
The software.
Yeah.
The invisible architecture running on the chameleon that is actively degrading the experience.
Exactly. And Alex introduces a crucial industry mechanic here, the concept of planned obsolescence.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this isn't a new concept, but the way it's weaponized in the smartphone ecosystem is particularly insidious.
Yeah.
It's the reality that your device is engineered with an artificial expiration date built into its life cycle.
So let's look at how that actually manifests based on the text. Planned obsolescence isn't just a phone suddenly turning off one day.
No, it's subtle.
It's the slow, agonizing crawl. It's the bloated operating system updates that inexplicably throttle the processor.
Drives me crazy.
Right. It's the sealed battery design that turns a $1,000 supercomputer into useless e-waste after 36 months because it can't hold a charge past lunch.
Yeah.
It is a deliberate ecosystem designed to eventually fail, or at least become intolerably frustrating, specifically to funnel the user into the next purchasing cycle.
And if we connect the dots here, this entirely reframes the tech industry's white whale hunt.
Oh, so?
The companies assume that because users are fatigued and complaining about their phones, they must be tired of the physical device.
Oh, I see.
But that's a profound misreading of the data. People don't actually want to escape the physical pocket rectangle. They like the screen.
Yeah.
They rely on the chameleon. What they are desperate to escape is the software bloat and the manipulative life cycle.
Yeah.
They want out of the artificial churn.
So what does this all mean? It means Silicon Valley is deploying billions of dollars to solve the completely wrong problem.
The entirely wrong problem.
We do not need a lapel pin that talks to us. We do not need heavy glasses that project notifications into our eyes. We just need the amazing piece of glass we already own to maintain its performance after 2 years.
It is a classic error of misidentifying the user's primary pain point.
Yeah.
The industry looks at user fatigue and diagnoses a hardware problem. But the user is suffering from an ecosystem problem.
Right.
They're exhausted by the constant forced upgrade treadmill. They're tired of losing access to their perfectly capable chameleon simply because the software layer has decided it's time for them to spend another $1,000.
It's like an automotive company trying to reinvent the concept of the wheel.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
They're spending vast fortunes researching hover technology and magnetic levitation because customers are complaining about their cars. But all the customer's actually asking for is a tire that doesn't artificially deflate every 2 years.
Right.
The wheel itself is a perfect invention. The pocket rectangle works. Just fix the software that keeps ruining the experience.
That analogy holds up perfectly under scrutiny. These tech conglomerates are funneling R&D budgets into hardware replacements that inevitably end up in the graveyard after a few months of public mockery, while actively ignoring the completely solvable problem of software bloat and forced obsolescence.
Yeah.
They are ignoring the device people actually want to use in favor of the device they want to sell.
It's honestly staggering when you view the industry through that specific lens. The misalignment of priorities is just massive.
It highlights a profound structural disconnect between the creators of technology and the people who actually integrate that technology into their daily lives. The creators, driven by venture capital and market expectations, need a science fiction revolution to justify their valuations.
Right.
The users, navigating the reality of their daily routines, just want reliability, longevity, and respect for their financial investment.
Okay, let's bring the threads of this deep dive together.
Yeah.
What is the core takeaway for you, our listener, after unpacking this excerpt from Tech Unfiltered? It's this. Tech companies are out there relentlessly chasing a white whale. They were throwing vast, unimaginable fortunes at trying to replace the beautifully adaptable, chameleon-like screen you already have in your pocket.
Yep.
And in their obsession to capture the next paradigm, they're completely ignoring the simple, glaring reality that users just want software that actually work and devices that are built to last instead of being designed to die.
The physical pocket rectangle was never the enemy.
Never.
The artificially shortened lifespan and the manipulative ecosystem are the real friction points.
Spot on. So we are going to leave you with a final provocative thought today. Something for you to mull over the next time you pick up your phone and feel that twinge of frustration. If the pocket rectangle really is the ultimate final form of our mobile hardware, if it truly is the perfect chameleon, what would happen if tech companies finally surrendered their white whale hunt?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. What if they took those billions of dollars currently being wasted in the graveyard of tech and instead put them toward creating software that never slows down, running on a phone engineered to last a lifetime?
Yeah.
Are we structurally or economically ready for the forever phone?
That is a deeply disruptive concept, perhaps more disruptive than any lapel pin could ever be.
It really is. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Keep questioning the ecosystem around you, look closely at the tools you rely on every day, and we'll catch you next time.